Hey, what's up guys? Chief Pat here, and today bringing you guys the next episode of my Let's Play Clash Royale series. And today we're actually going to be changing around our deck yet again. We're still focusing it around the Royal Giant. Obviously that card is extremely strong right now. Some would argue broken, and we're going to go ahead and upgrade some of the cards that haven't been upgraded inside of our deck just yet. We're using still a level 3 Inferno Tower at level 6, which is pretty pathetic. I should definitely request that as my next donation. But anyways, let's hop into a couple of battles. We're going to be facing off against Sinfru, who is a level 8, and let's go ahead and try this new deck out. Now this is actually really similar to the deck that I run on my main account, but I use the Princess instead of the Musketeer. I think a lot of people are still thinking that the Princess is the best legendary inside of the game. It's just such a strong card, and I definitely have to agree with that. But let's start off with the Valkyrie in the very back. He's actually going to play his own Valkyrie down the right hand side, and I decided to make a little bit of an interesting move right here by dropping the Fireball on both the Musketeer as well as the Spear Goblins. But as you can see, he's just going to drop a balloon down the right hand lane. We're going to have to use our minion horde to be able to counter that, and he does still have a witch on the left hand side. And since my tower is a little bit weak facing off against this guy, the witch is actually going to get a crazy amount of damage, seeing as her skeletons are hitting the tower. If you guys don't know, skeletons actually do a really high amount of damage per second. The thing is that they just die so quick that they usually can never actually reach the tower, but because he had his witch right there and nothing to help defend it, he ended up taking half of my tower on the left, half of the tower on the right, and we're definitely in trouble going into the rest of this battle. However, I wasn't really too scared of his push, because he really only had that balloon as his trump card. I think I can take care of the witch. Honestly, the witch is one of the worst cards inside the entire game to me, especially when I have a Valkyrie inside of my deck. Shouldn't be too difficult to deal with. Let's go ahead and make a massive push down the very left, and since he played a giant, which really can't do anything about my attacking troops, I'm just going to play a zap to stop his tower and the witch. We've got the Valkyrie, the Musketeer, and the Royal Giant going crazy on the tower, and right before the tower went down, he actually was able to get that free spell off, so that's actually going to stop my Royal Giant for just a moment before he gets one last shot off to take the tower. So at this point, just going back on defense, we need to be able to stop this push. We've got the goblins, we had our Inferno Tower right there, trying to do the best that we can, but still having so many of these small units for me to break through. The witch is definitely going to be able to take this tower, and we're still at a disadvantage going into the rest of this battle. I definitely am happy that I traded towers on the left-hand side, because my tower had less HP to begin with, but at this point we definitely need to make a pretty impressive push on the right, or else this game is all but over. Okay, so he's got a giant and a witch push, so I'm going to start my own slow push right here. I haven't really seen too much from him on the right hand side besides that balloon push. I'm sort of debating when to drop my minion horde. I know the minion horde is going to be so strong for me. He ends up dropping his free spell and missing my Inferno Tower, and that's going to give me a chance to make a bit of a comeback. We got the zap going down on the skeletons, and now we have a Valkyrie, Royal Giant, and Musketeer push, all of them at completely full HP. We've got another Royal Giant down. That's a total of a 20 elixir push on the right hand side, and we're getting a crazy amount of damage on his tower. Now it's a little bit rough because he has so many things fighting back. He's got that giant, which was doing a great job moving mine out of the way. I dropped my fireball at the last second to be able to hit that witch as well as the spear goblins, and we really shouldn't take too much damage from this witch, if at all. And we've now taken I guess the lead inside of this battle, and it's only going to take one more Royal Giant to win this game, I'm guessing. So notice what I'm about to do. I'm going to drop my Valkyrie right here, and then immediately after, look at this placement of the Royal Giant. This is the most broken placement of a card inside of the entire game. You can drop it right on top of the tower, and there's obviously nothing my opponent can do, and that was the end of the game right there. It's almost guaranteed damage every single time. It doesn't give them enough time to react with the defensive building. They sort of have to place it beforehand, and if they place their defensive building beforehand, as you guys know, the Royal Giant can just outrange it. So definitely really tough stuff to deal with that Royal Giant in the very center, but it gave me the 2 crown to 1 victory, and a pretty nice stuff right there. Alright, so next up, we're going to be fighting against Cannon, another level 8. He's going to start off with the quick elixir collector, trying to reap the benefits as soon as he can. Let's use our Valkyrie on the right. We're using the Royal Giant as well, and if you guys can see by now, the Royal Giant plus the Valkyrie is one of my favorite strategies inside of the entire game. So we'll use our zap to take care of the spear goblins. We've got the Valkyrie and the Royal Giant going crazy on this tower right here, and as we take it down to about 1000 HP, he's only got a couple of goblins and the archers, so we should be able to not take too much damage as we take him out. Now the fireball just straight up misses, so the Musketeer actually is able to survive. I think she's too low to do any damage against the tower, so maybe not the biggest deal, but at this point I know that maybe he's not the greatest player if he missed that fireball, or he's just maybe a little bit nervous or something. I don't know, it's hard to guess, but we're gonna fireball both the elixir collectors as well as the tower to get some pretty good value out of that trade. Now notice as soon as I do that, I put the Inferno Tower in my hand because I'm assuming that he has a massive elixir lead right now due to those two elixir collectors that were up previously. So let's get ready to play the Inferno Tower. Always make sure you place it at the last second to get as much value as possible. And with all these troops running down the lane, looks like he's actually only going to have one Fire Spirit that's able to live. But right now he does have those Spear Goblins, which are just so annoying to deal with, and they're actually going to do a great job of taking out my Inferno Tower. By the time my Inferno Tower locks onto the P.E.K.K.A., it's pretty much all but dead, and then now we just have to use our Minion Horde. We've got our Valkyrie to stop the P.E.K.K.A. right there, and even though I feel like we played that pretty well, the fact that he was able to counter my Inferno Tower really well meant that he was able to pretty much take all the health from my right-hand tower, so pretty well played by him. I think that Fireball in the beginning definitely just had to be a mistake because he played that Inferno Tower really well. And then now we just have to see how we can kill him on the right-hand side. I still think that my deck plays against his pretty well, and as soon as he drops that elixir collector, I know I can go forward with the Royal Giant as well as the Goblins, and he does have those Fire Spirits. Luckily my Goblins weren't there, or else they would have been taken out. The Goblins are doing a good job attacking the Spear Goblins. We've got the Zap going down on most of those smaller troops. My Zap isn't high enough level to kill his Goblins. That's pretty crazy right there. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Musketeer is going to go on these troops right here, and as he drops that elixir collector, perfect opportunity to Fireball and take the very first tower of the game. Okay, well, 3 HP on that tower, so maybe not the first tower of the game, but soon to go down, and we can start focusing most of our effort towards the left-hand side. So I will play a little bit of defense. I know that since he only has the Fireball as direct damage, if I can just hold on for a little bit longer and just drop a Fireball as soon as time expires, I'm definitely going to get this win. So let's wait for those Fire Spirits. We've got the Musketeer going around. I'm just dancing around his troops right now. You can see how quickly I'm switching between my cards. Because I know that he has a lot of counters coming down to what I'm playing, and Musketeer's actually going to be able to stay alive for a pretty long time, clean up most of the troops in the battle, and that's going to give us a solid 1 crown to 0 victory against this guy rocking a massive P.E.K.K.A. inside of his deck. So that's going to be 29 trophies, 14 gold for the victory bonus, as well as the silver chest. Not too shabby right there. Right now we're at 6 out of 10 for our crown chest, so definitely want to upgrade that as soon as possible. Let's hop into one more battle against Phantomas, and if we end up winning this battle, that's going to put us back up into Royal Arena, which we ended up at inside of the last episode. So starting cards, Zap is obviously a terrible one, Goblins are a terrible starting card, Inferno Tower is a terrible starting card when you're a lower level, so let's go ahead and play our Musketeer, and since this guy is a spawner deck, this is going to be so annoying to deal with. This deck that I'm rocking is so bad against spawners because of the fact that the Valkyrie is really my only counter. The Valkyrie is a decent counter against spawners, but she still does take a lot of damage, and she's not good against Spear Goblins because they'll keep just kiting her out of control. So this is going to be probably the most annoying battle to date using this deck. So let's see how we're able to fare. As if you look at my hand, look at the cards that I have. I had Fireball, Zap, Goblins, and Inferno Tower. All 4 are terrible cards, but luckily he bailed me out by dropping the Barbarians, and I was able to Fireball the Tower and the Barbarians to get some pretty good value. I was scared of him dropping something like a Giant or a Royal Giant in front of those Barbarians, but since it's just those guys straight up, we'll have to drop some Goblins in the very back because they're the only card I have to play. I don't want to drop my Inferno Tower, and now with my Royal Giant, notice how I play it so it shoves his Musketeer out of the way, and look at my Musketeer dance. My Musketeer did a little bit of a shimmy right there, and yeah, but you can notice I played my Royal Giant, and as soon as it walked over his Musketeer, it shoved the Musketeer out of range of my Musketeer and made her refocus onto my Royal Giant, so that was definitely intentional, and that let my Musketeer survive for a little bit longer, but also didn't really matter because she was already nearly dead after their exchange. Alright, so he's got the Spear Goblins running down the lane. Look at my hand. I have nothing I can do against these spawner decks. I can play the Valkyrie. I can try my Minion Horde. He probably just has arrows and is going to kill these minions in like half a second. Looking at anything I can Fireball in the world, really nothing I can do. And as those Musketeers or minions get arrowed down with a minute left in the game, it's about to go to double elixir, and this is where the pain is about to start. He's going to be able to spawn as many of these buildings as he wants. Fireball isn't in range of 2 buildings at once, so I definitely don't want to use that. I do need to Fireball these Barbarians right here just so I don't take too much damage, and he's starting to make a strong push. If he had a Giant or a Royal Giant inside of his deck, he'd probably be able to dominate me. And since he already is dominating me, as I try to play a little bit of defense, let's go ahead and make a little bit of a push with our Royal Giant right here. I'm going to zap those minions just so they're able to die to my tower in one shot, but we're really just in survival mode for this last 30 seconds of the battle. At this point, I know that a win is completely unreasonable. There's no way I'm going to be able to get to his tower because my Royal Giant is just going to shoot the buildings, and there's almost no chance whatsoever of a victory. If I had a poison spell, if I had a baby dragon, if I had one of those other cards, I'd definitely stand a chance, but at this point, you guys sometimes need to realize when there's no chance of winning and you simply have to play for a tie with your deck. There's nothing wrong with a tie, especially for when it's what you're going for, because in certain times it's just really not in the cards for you to win, and that's be a battle right here. So with a minute left in overtime, this is pretty much just standing on my last leg. I'm trying to think of, like, you know, one of those military battles where it's like, oh, the Alamo. This is the Alamo right now, where we're just trying to hold off the spawner decks and doing the best that we can. I wish, if any of you guys have Photoshop skills of me and like a barbarian at the Alamo, definitely send it to me on Twitter. But I'm just trying to survive as long as possible. Look, I'm playing strictly defensively. I've got my Inferno Tower. I've got my Zap spell. I've got the Musketeer. We're at 508 HP on our tower right here. I don't think he has much direct damage, so I'm not worried about something like that. He only has arrows, and he obviously can't cycle those to win. We've got 20 seconds left. Let's drop another Fireball, and we're going to hit the Minion Horde as well, giving us a crazy amount of damage and value right there with only 13 seconds left. It turns out he does have a Fireball that I must have forgotten about. So with 10 seconds left, let's drop our Zap to stop these troops in their tracks. Let's drop the Valkyrie. He's trying to cycle back to the Fireball as soon as he can, but we're actually going to be able to end up to steal a tie right there. So I feel actually really good about that match going forward. Again, I was playing for the tie once we got into double elixir. I knew that there was nothing that we could do except for try to not lose any trophies, and that's what we were able to do against a level 8 using a spawner deck. So really good stuff, and yeah, that is going to do it for the battles inside of this video. Now, 1980 trophies, pretty solid stuff, really close to get back to Royal Arena and get those better chests and better donations, so I definitely want to do that as soon as possible. But yeah, that is going to do it for this video. Again, guys, I'm doing a massive stream on twitch.tv close to when this video comes out, so make sure you guys go follow me at twitch.tv/chiefpat. All the info is in the description below. I hope to see you guys there. It's going to be crazy, and I will see you guys inside of the next video. Peace out.